Hey, if you've got ADD or think you have ADD, I'm going to share with you today 5 ways I have overcome or certainly mitigated my own ADD to be able to build businesses and grow my business and stay on track. Hey, I'm Scott Beckford, the founder of Idle Mortgage Brokering, Bricks Mortgage. And today I want to share with you, somebody sent me a message saying, hey, Scott, how do you manage your ADD and run a successful business? And I thought, why don't I just write down 5 things that have helped me a ton? I'm 50 years old now. I've been dealing with this for a long time and definitely was not as good at when I was younger as I am now. I've gotten a lot better at managing it. And I've figured that I actually believe that ADD in the right context, got to hear me on this, is a superpower. But in the wrong context, it's a complete disaster. And so you have to understand that the way that someone's brain like mine is wired in the right situation can be a wonderful thing. I always say creativity loves constraints. Even though I personally struggle with constraints, I know that with constraints, the creativity can really flourish. And that's some of the things that I've built around myself. Hey, before I jump into that, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Ownwell. Ownwell is an amazing tool for mortgage brokers to help them engage their database. It creates these amazing reports that get sent out on a monthly basis. It shows the homeowners their buying power, their home equity. And what it does is it creates conversations because homeowners go, I didn't know I could buy that. Oh, I got this much equity. And what happens is those conversations lead to leads. If you want to check out what they're doing, check out ownwell.ca/Scott. I promise you. And they get like 60 to 80% open rates on these emails because it's their own personal information. You're not sending another newsletter with recipes and stuff they don't frankly care about. Check it out. All right, let's jump into this. I did some AI research and the deep research on this. According to the general population of adults, about 4.5% of the population have ADHD. It seems higher to me. It seems like everybody I talk to has it. But here's the rub. If you're an entrepreneur or a founder, it's 23 to 32%. So, and I would say mortgage brokers would fall into that category. I would argue that a lot of mortgage brokers fall into the category of entrepreneur or founder, which is why they are not working a regular 9 to 5. It's because they're not wired that way. And so if we look around the broker space, there's probably a much higher percentage of people that would either have been diagnosed or are self-diagnosed as ADHD. So it's 5 to 7 times higher. I remember one time I have a friend, I've been in the mortgage business on 19 years, and I knew this was probably, I don't know, it might have been 8 years ago. And I was meeting him. This guy's a really smart mortgage guy, runs a great business. And he said to me, and I was telling him some other idea that I had that I was working on. And he's like, he stopped me. He's like, you know, Scott, if you could focus, you would be a billionaire. And at the time I was like, he complimented me. And this is what I thought, right? But afterwards I was like, wait a second, it was a compliment, but I like to call it and he didn't mean it this way, but it was an insulment. It was like a compliment wrapped in an insult. It was like, because it's like, I'm not a billionaire. I would like to be, it would be great to be a billionaire. There's lots of cool things I could do with that, but I'm not a billionaire. And so it was sort of like, you are not living up to your potential is what he was saying to me. And this was about 8 years ago. So I'll share with you now 5 things that have helped me a ton. And so if you struggle with focus issues, hopefully this is helpful for you. This is not prescriptive. You're going to have to find what works for you. But this has worked for me, and so this is my own recipe. So the first thing I do that helps a ton is I have a morning routine, and the more structure and routine you can put into your day, the better you're going to do. Now, here, if you have ADD or ADHD, I don't have the hyper part. So I think my brother has the hyper part. He can't sit still. I can sit still, but my brain is just going like a chipmunk on crack, and it's just going flat or not. Or cocaine. I don't know if crack makes you fast or not. Never done it. But like a chipmunk on cocaine, just going flat out. And so what I find is that for me, having structure, and so my youngest daughter has this as well. And so I took a course from a guy called ADHD Dude, and it's basically how to help your kids if they have ADD. It's really good. It's not that expensive. And in it talked about this idea of scaffolding. And scaffolding is just another word for structure. So the more scaffolding you have in place for your child, so they have the same morning routine, they get up, things are the same. They have the way that they get when they come home from school, their bedtime routine is the same. The more routine you build around them, the better they're going to do, even though their natural instinct is to completely not want to do it. And so one of the ways that I do, and this is where I disagree with Alex Hormozi. Alex Hormozi's a machine. I can't even compete to, you know who he is. He always says, you don't need a morning routine, just get up and work. I have tried that. It doesn't work for me because what happens is I end up working on the wrong stuff. And so what I like to do is I have a morning routine. I get up and I go through this, and I iterate it over time. But what I do is I go through my gratitude. I always, I've got links. I got a sheet in Evernote that I use, and it's got my things that I'm tracking. It's got links to my long-term 5-year goals, my 1-year goals, my 90-day goals. And what it does is it helps me reorient. Imagine if you're walking through the forest and every day you get up and you have to use your compass. You can't see where you're heading to this destination, but there's too many trees. You can't actually see it. And every day you get up and you check your compass to make sure you're heading. If you're heading west, I want to make sure I'm heading west every day. for me, my morning routine, and it's not that long, but my morning routine is like getting up, reorienting. Oh, right. This is my 5-year goal. This is what I said I want to do. Right. This is the direction I'm going to go in. If I want that 5-year goal, that means I need to do this. This is what I need to do in the next, year, in the next 90 days. For me, that really helps. Otherwise, I can easily get distracted and head off in another direction. Right. I've often joked that, when I was younger, if, I'd be in the mortgage business, if I walked outside, I could have a hot dog stand started because I'm like, oh, this looks like fun. I am not like that now. I've built all kinds of structure on myself. So the first is having a consistent morning routine, and whatever that looks like for you, that has helped me a ton. The second is I have put a team around me of people who are much better at some of these other things that I had to manage. And the more of this stuff I get off my plate, the better I'm able to perform. Because now, again, that goes back to scaffolding. If we think of this ADHD dude's program or principles that he talks about, is my team is the scaffolding. So there's a lot of stuff I don't even touch anymore, because it's like if Scott gets in there, he's going to mess it up. He's better. Let him be creative. Let him do the come up with the solutions. Let him do the vision stuff. Let him come up with the marketing, like the area where he can shine. Let him do that, but keep him away from this other stuff. And so some of the key team members that have really helped, having an executive assistant. So I have an executive assistant, I've had one for a long time now, last several years. And it has been a game changer because they manage my calendar. Everything. I just live and die by my calendar. It's like, if it's in my calendar, and when I travel, everything's in there, travel times, links to my, wherever I'm going. I literally, like a child could follow it. And in a way, it's kind of like a little bit like I am. It's like, if you don't, it's like, I don't know where I'm going to end up. So I just look at my phone. Okay, here I got to go here. I got my tickets. I got my sign. Everything is mapped out for me. It's the same thing with specific types of calls I need to do. It's all mapped out. I sit down. I come up with the grand vision. Here's how I want I do this exercise called the ideal work week. Here's how I want my work week to look. And then I sit down with my EA and we map it out. And then she makes sure that I actually have that stuff built into my calendar. That works a ton. So EA is really important. If you don't have an assistant help you, like, it really does help. The second is having a COO. So having Denise come work with me at Bricks has been amazing because she's very process driven. And prior to her joining, one of the challenges I had was that it was growing so quickly. I say it was like a cart going on the hill with so fast that the wheels were going to blow off. And so she came in and we put in a lot of other processes and templates and project plans and stuff. And that's really helped. And then we've just added in more and more layers of this people operations to help her. And then just like we continue to specialize in roles. And every time we do, we're able to take some of the generalist tasks off of our plate and then get more and more focused on our ideal, our skill set, our perfect skill set. So building a team. And for you, if you don't have a team, like, again, if you have an assistant or someone help you with this stuff, it's going to really help. Or even just using contractors for some of it. So some of it may not be that, hey, I'm not in a place, Scott, where I can hire an EA, but then maybe use contractors for part of it. Maybe if you're a broker, the way you do this is you get somebody to do fulfillment. You just focus on the sales. You're like, I got somebody to do the fulfillment and look at all the documents. And that would be a way that I do it. So the first is the morning routine. For me, it's like my compass resets me. The second is building a team. The third is daily exercise. I know it's not to do with mortgages, but honestly, I did not know how much exercise helps my brain settle down and focus me. Before I was diagnosed with ADD, I thought I had it. My ex thought I had it for sure. I didn't know I had it until I got diagnosed with it. But I found that when I would exercise, I would get this moment afterwards of like clarity and focus. And a lot of times people with ADD will get, they'll get addicted to things like runner's high, because like runner's high is very focusing. And so for me, I now exercise every day. So I got my buddy, Nate Atkin, who follow him if you're not on social. He's a mortgage broker. Dude is jacked. He's been fitness guy for like 25 years before he became a broker. And so he gives me my workout programs and I just follow exactly what he says to do. So I think I'm on phase 4 now of the program that he's given me. And I feel great. I work out. And I work out because my team is dispersed. Again, I told you, this is just what I'm doing. This is not prescriptive. You do what works for you. But my team, so I'm in BC. A lot of my team is in Ontario. My first calls usually start at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. That's 9:30 in Ontario. So I get up early, do my morning routine. And then I don't want to go. I would go to the gym in the morning. It just doesn't work. So instead of going to the gym at the end of the day, when I'm mentally fried, my brain is gone. It's mush from the whole day. I like to go to the gym, and I find it gives me a reset. It lets me show up better in the evening for the people that I care about. Because otherwise, what I used to find happen is that the evening I'd be just mentally done. All day go. It's like the crack cocaine squirrel is going crazy. No, the cocaine, not crack. I don't even know. There you go. There's my ADD kicking in. The cocaine fueled squirrel needs to get calmed down. And one of the best ways to do that is to exhaust the body, right? Exhaust the body, calm the mind, I think is what Dan Martell says. And it absolutely works. So I go to the gym helps me time. It means that I get a couple more hours of focus time where it's not work related, but I actually show up good. So for me, daily exercise has been good. So morning routine, building a team, daily. Remember, this goes back. This is scaffolding, just like the ADHD dude talks about. The next is sleep. I didn't know, and I've always slept poorly, and I think I'm a light sleeper. I hear something in the middle of the night, and I'm like, I wake. Any noise, I wake up. So I use background like rain sounds through my Amazon Alexa. It's probably gonna turn on now because I just said their name. And so I use this to drown out the background sounds. I will cover my eyes often because I don't want any light, anything to keep me from waking up. And I use a thing called a Whoop, so which sits around your wrist, and it basically tracks your sleep, it tracks your recovery. And for me, there's this concept of whatever you measure gets better. And so I've been measuring my sleep and my recovery. Go to bed early. Try to avoid alcohol, especially on school nights. During the week, I've done it a few times, and I always feel like crap, even if it's just one or two drinks. So I'd rather sleep well, because I think sleep is the closest thing to performance enhancing drug you can get. Other than, I think it goes in this order. So obviously the priorities for life, air is one. The next would be water, sleep. You could last longer without food than you can without sleep. You will die from lack of sleep before you die from lack of food in most cases, especially in the West, where most of us have a few extra pounds we probably have a few extra days anyway, because just our where our diets are. But sleep, I read a book on sleep, and it was really, really good. And it just reminded me of, oh my gosh, I cannot believe how important sleep is and how much better I show up. Like when I have a good night's sleep, man, I am like, and so I've set some rules for myself is I don't make big decisions when I'm sleep deprived. If I'm sleep deprived, I am not going to make a big decision, because I know I'm only showing up with, it's the 60% version of Scott. It's not the 80 or 90% version that I want. And so sleep is absolutely critical. So whatever you need to do to engineer, I also keep the room cold, right? For me, I like the room really cold, because if it's warm, I'm going to wake up and be sweating. And so I will prioritize sleep over a lot of things, because to me, it's that important. So as I said, the first one was a morning routine. Have a team around you. So that's some structure, some kind of daily movement, exercise, figure out what works in your rhythm. For sleep is absolutely critical. And then the last one, which may surprise you, is meds. I went on meds, I think 4 years ago, diagnosed, and they have helped me a ton. And I was never going to go on meds. I always thought, oh, meds are, they're stupid. You don't need them. And I remember somebody had sent me a video, and if I can find it, I'll put it in the show notes, but it was this expert talking about how ADD is the most treatable brain, not disorder, and I don't call it disorder, whatever they call it, a brain malfunction that most people don't get treated. And so what they do, though, is they put you on speed. Just think about this. So I have a squirrel brain that's on cocaine, and then to help me focus, they put me on a version of speed. What I'm on is called dextromethamphetamine. I think dextroamphetamine. And I'm on the smallest dose, and I have not increased it in the 4 years intentionally, because I'm like, I don't want to actually make this, because there are side effects to it. But honestly, I joke, internally with my team, like this is the brokerage built on ADD meds. Like the amount of my ability to focus longer, to not get as distracted, has been amazing with the meds. Now, I'm not saying everybody should be on them. I think everybody needs to do what makes sense for them. But I have no shame about it at all. If somebody was a diabetic, you wouldn't be like, oh, why are you taking those diabetic meds? Why can't you just process insulin like the rest of us? I think ADD is very similar. Now, I also think they are abused. Like, there's a lot of kids in university that will take ADD meds to help them stay awake to study. But you need to do what makes sense for you. I have no problem with it. I think that they've made an absolute game changer for me, and I manage it. And I also manage my health outside of that. I think the meds by themselves, without the sleep and the exercise, is not going to be as effective. And you're probably going to end up needing more and more of the meds. And there's all kinds of side effects. So if you're not doing these other things, and your diet's also a big thing. I don't even get into that, but I track macros, how much protein I have every day. I'm really focused on that. But that's not really, I think it helps my health. I don't think it's necessarily helping my ADD, which is what this episode's about. So for me, the meds have made an absolute game changer in helping me focus. But just get this for a second. So it's speed. They put you on a version of speed. And by the way, the Germans in World War II used speed, so they didn't have to sleep for 3 days, so they could get all the way into France. And I was trying to understand, like, how can speed help somebody who has trouble focus? And here's the metaphor that I've come up with that helps me, or reconciles it in my brain, is that if you think about a bicycle, and if you're on a bicycle and you're going too slow, the bike is wobbling and probably going to fall over, right? That is my brain without ADD meds. On ADD meds, the bike is moving faster, but I can actually focus more. So I'll give you another thing that I found that's worked for me. So when I really want to learn something, and I got this from Alex Hormozi, but I was actually shocked how well it works, is that when I really want to learn a topic, I will get the book and I will get the audiobook. And when I put that audiobook on, I will put it I can go at 2 times speed and I can read that thing. And because it's moving so fast, it actually forces me to focus, because your mind can't wander. If I often, like when I hear somebody like at 1 speed, an audiobook is not fast enough for me to pay attention. Unless they are riveting, they got to be really good or a really good storyteller, or they will lose me, because I'm like, I'm bored. And if you see me at events and stuff, often I'll joke about this, but I have a hard time sitting through long presentations back to back, because again, it's like, if it's not really good, I'm going to tune out. And so, yeah, the meds have made a huge difference. And so the speed is like the bicycle. It's when the bicycle speeds up, it can go in a straight line. It can focus instead of going all over the place. So for me, the meds have made a huge difference. And again, you got to do what works for you. Some people will judge me for it. I frankly don't give a shit, because I know that it's helped, and I know how I feel and how I show up. And I definitely show up better for my family, show up better for my team when I take care of these things. But I don't think the meds are a cure-all. Without the other things, without the scaffolding, without the exercise, without the sleep, without some kind of morning routine to reset you, I think that it's not the first thing that you should try. Anyway, I hope you find that useful. Again, this episode is not prescriptive. Please talk to your doctor. I am not a medical professional. I was a paramedic, but it's been so long since I've done that I can the only thing I can probably do now is pronounce you dead. Like it's been 19 years since I was a paramedic. So if I saw you, like, oh yeah, you're definitely dead, or you're going to be dead soon. So it's definitely, I'm not a medical professional, but I'm just sharing with you what has worked for me. And this has been super helpful. Thanks for listening. Last thing I'm going to say is, if you're following this and you find the podcast useful, go give us a review. I'd appreciate it. You can go just give it a review. Hey, Scott, this is great. That would be amazing. Also, each week I create an email. I had a different email called 321. I changed it, called Peckford's Playbook. And if you want to get on that email list, just go click on my social, and you can click on my link tree and you can get on my email list. Each week I share with you stuff that I created, stuff I'm learning. And the whole idea is just to share a playbook of what's working for me and our team and people in the mortgage business. Thanks for listening. As I always say, there's no problem in your mortgage business that someone else hasn't resolved. This podcast is designed to provide you some of those answers. Thanks for listening. I will see you on the next episode.